Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Voice of Dr. Yan, and I'm your host, Dr. Li-Meng Yan. In this episode, again, we welcome our regular guest, Edward Haugland, join us, and we will discuss some cases happened recently which will reflect CCP's unrestricted warfare as well as their cognitive war against the Chinese and Americans. And also, I want to recommend you this book. And this is Edward's recent book, and which is over 300 pages. And I'm reading it, and you can get it from either Amazon or America Out Loud shop. And trust me, this is so important. And if you know unrestricted warfare from Chinese Communist Party, from People's Liberation Army, then you definitely need the countermeasures. And this book will bring you great inspiration. And hi, Edward. Thank you for coming again.
Well, thank you, Dr. Yen, for inviting me again. It's always a great pleasure. And you're an inspiration to many of us here in America as well, because your fight for freedom with Mr. Lute and your other network is just fantastic to see. And yet you're to be commended for all of that.
Thank you so much. It's my honor. And remember last time, Edward, we have talked about the breaking news that PLA's Navy 093 class on March 417 nuclear attack submarine get accident in Yellow Sea on 21st August this year. And that keeps secret. And however, our exclusive sources in the Central Military Commission of China has released the information to us in real time. That's why we can go through the media, can go to the Voice of Dr. Yan to let the world know this mysterious accident. And we also have talked about that, how China, at that time when we discussed it, it was at the end of August, just around 1 week after the accident. And at that time, we talk about how China initially launched the cyber army to suppress, to deny this accident, as well as attacking us. And also later, in just 2 days, China managed to let the Taiwan Defense Ministry to answer the question in the press and mislead the world that there is no accident in Taiwan streets. They secretly, quietly change it from Yellow Sea to Taiwan Street, which is running like several thousand kilometers away. So the world, misled by this press and misled by the following propaganda from China government, they will just focus on Taiwan Street and, there is no accident in the Taiwan Street. So, this is a rumor. However, we keep revealing this information as we discussed, and the following happened on 31st August. The China Defense Department has openly talked about it again. Of course, they deny, but from China side, when China DOD started to deny it, they have a great record. That means every time when they deny something, later it becomes true. So basically, this is official verification of our whistleblowing. And so I just want to discuss with you step by step to say CCP's tactics and counter this whistleblowing, counter our intelligence using their national power. So by 31st August, when we see the China DOD start to deny it, still talk about no accident in Taiwan Street, don't listen to the rumor, you should listen to the government. What's your opinion? What do you think?
Well, so first of all, I have to again commend you and your network with Miss Lute and others, because what the audience needs to understand, and you should go to Dr. Yen's website on AmericaOutloud.news, because on there, you could see that she is and her network are being threatened on a regular basis. What this says to me, though, is that you're hitting some nerves with Xi and the Chinese CC. So on the actual accident itself and the cover-up, it's interesting. As you said, the Chinese try to brainwash their people and increase the morale of the People's Liberation Army. And so they started to spread that false news. What's interesting, in the actual report in the U.S. media of what was happening, okay, that was glossed over very quickly and sort of disappeared. So in one sense, they were effective. In one sense, they were effective in terms of their initial efforts to sort of drive the narrative, because they realize in the Western press, they're driven by a financial incentive. So they want the front headlines, the quick headlines. And so the quicker they can get this off the front headlines, the better for them.
Yes, exactly. So as we talk about, I received some feedback from American friends or their friends that they said, okay, so we know, including some people who work in the Navy, and they said, we know the Navy, especially nuclear submarine group is very small. So how could you get access to this kind of small group and have the classified information? And why can you get such detailed information and we don't get it from other credential big media? So yeah, we need to just observe and wait for a moment to jump into this topic. So that's why I really want to say, you see, we know that one hand, we are working hard to deliver the information to let people know more about CCP, because everyone talk about China is not transparent. They don't know what happened inside. But on the other hand, most of people, I mean, I don't say they are stupid. I just think they are naive. They still rely on the, it's kind of domestic voting. The majority knows that, then we should go to the majority side. And also, we should know that if we get intelligence maximum, it should be just one word or one sentence, because I mean, they cannot get information from China, so many details. So they don't believe we can do that. However, I mean, the thing is, first, when we talk about the majority, China has spent decades here. They spend money and using so many types of the influence to already lever the forces, I mean, the voices in America and other countries. So majority belong to China in public because they suppress the real majority and they show you the false majority. And also, when we talk about the information, I mean, our source, I mean, I respect the intelligence staffs in the United States, although there are definitely some people are not good, but I believe they are always very honest, very integrate people working on that, spending their life, taking the life risk in FBI, CIA, whatever agency. However, according to our sources, they told us there are many double agents working in US IC agencies. I mean, no doubt, China spent decades and pretend to be your friends and get access to you, right? They even marry you or whatever things. So people can be fooled without awareness, even they are very, very vigilant. The thing is, sir, in this case, how could they get the real information? Because our sources don't trust that channel. They prefer to deliver the message to Mr. Luder and me because they have seen what we are doing. They know the real response in CCP government from his regime. They know the efforts. So in this case, I just want to share this kind of understanding with you. And then let's see what happened later. The thing is, because we keep telling
can I say one thing about what you
please,
just mentioned?
yeah,
So
please.
you're absolutely right about the intelligence community. So, your audience may not know, but there have been several times where CIA agents have been rolled up in China. And they've been rolled up because they had insiders inside the intelligence community. And they also had a poor tradecraft by the intelligence community. And when I was an analyst with the agency, is also working throughout the community, there was sort of a pompous attitude that we had all the best secrets, we had know-it-all. But they dismissed many cases the types of networks you have to go outside and look at things. Some of the real experts didn't, but they a lot of times were shut down by the majority inside the community. And so the fact that you have these sources is phenomenal, and people should take advantage of that understanding. And what's also interesting is because of Xi and their attacks on you, they don't know whether it's one person or 10,000 people, right? And so it's you can use that to your advantage to cause Xi and the CCP a number of different issues, and actually to cause them to eat their own young, if to take their own people out, because they'll continue to try to find who these people are. And in many cases, they'll go through 90% of patriot people, okay, who are aligned to the CCP to get at the one person who is not. And that has a detrimental effect overall as well. So yes, the Venona papers with the old Soviets, the Chinese have learned very well how to get inside the United States and have done it for a number of years.
So, sir, just based on your explanation, may I have one question that first, is this still the same in the IC agencies that kind of people say we will vote for certain conclusion, like maybe 5 people support it, 2 don't support it, and then you will listen to the 5? It's kind of just the number matters, or you should re-examine this evidence and make the conclusion based on the evidence?
Well, that's a great question, because traditionally inside the intelligence community, the way the analyst community works is they come to an opinion, okay, but they also then have dissenting remarks from those who have a different conclusion. But as we saw with the Wuhan lab incident, we've seen now through a whistleblower that a senior executive was an outlier in the analysis, looking at and saying it was more from animals than from the lab. The majority of the analysts concluded it had come from the Wuhan lab. But through intimidation and payoffs, they altered that. Now, that's why I call in my book, and I've called for a number of decades, for a complete overhaul of our national security apparatus, because it's been politicized and weaponized. And in this case here, that analysis then leads to mistrust, not only within our own intelligence community, because we can't trust our fellow analysts because they feel they may get politically pressured, but also for our allies. They see that if we're going to manipulate the information and not report the facts, as they also provide us information, that causes consternation with us and our allies.
So, sir, based on let's just jump into this CIA COO interference with the origin of COVID-19, because this is a big news, right? As we have seen from the Congress report and the journalists that this COO has secretly kind of brought Fauci into the team, and Dr. Fauci gives a kind of information or pressure to the analysts. So my question is, first, how could a COO and CIA using money to give different motive to their people? Where the money come from? The second is, how could Fauci influence them? Because this is kind of the game player and the coaches get together and somehow one influence the other. Why these two differences weird things can suddenly happen in the same occasion in such big investigation? What's your opinion?
Well, so part of an analyst's docket and review is to go to look at all different sources and methods to understand, open source, other sources of information. So in many cases of bringing experts such as Dr. Fauci or others to come in to talk to the analysts so the analysts can then assess different information. However, in this case, according to the reporting, it was covered up that Fauci was brought in. It was hidden. Okay. That's not a good news story. Second, Fauci had a specific line that he wanted to preach, which is contrary to a lot of the facts that we're starting to see that come out. And so analysts are just like any other human being. They're going to trust in their fellow government bureaucrats that these people are honest, have high integrity, and mean the best interest for the United States. And so given that, they may give more credence and weight to someone like Fauci than they should, because they try to, and for the majority, remain apolitical, meaning they don't lean one political way or another. The intelligence community professionals I've worked with my whole career, for the majority, have always been apolitical and give us just the hard facts, the best we know. But what we're seeing here is, I think, much more nefarious. Not only is it the cover-up for Fauci, but it's a cover-up for the investments the U.S. Fauci had made within HHS to the Wuhan labs, and the cover-up for the monies that are going back and forth between the researchers and China. Okay, all these things raise large questions about the integrity of our health and human services structure and system, but also now continue to amplify, in my opinion, the problems we have in our intelligence community with its being politicized and used for, in this case, propaganda purposes against our own people, which is reprehensible.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, we really hope the following investigation conducted by Congress, and also we hope Senate can do it too, to let people know more about the facts, the truth behind this. And also we need to know behind Dr. Fauci what is the force to push him to do so. And so now we jump into our original topics, that as we talk about, since we keep telling the fact and we know the feedback from inside China, from military and from the public, we know that they have their way to listen to the information from all the media. Also, it takes their risk to be arrested. So the thing is, Xi Jinping also knows that. And we have revealed more information after our broadcast last time. It includes that this 417 submarine has already installed the very advanced, it's called rim-driven propulsion system, which they never announced to the public, and the American experts thought it will be applied in the next several generations of Chinese submarine. And also, of course, they steal the technology from US and develop it like the COVID virus. And also, we know that they have installed the vertical missile launching system in the nuclear submarine, and those, elites on the submarine who's dead now had been practicing launching the nuclear missile using this vertical launching system. This is another secret. So altogether, these things really hit the moral of CCP, and also, we just want people to remind that the initial cause of this accident, although everything is under investigation now, it's because the submarine hit their own anti-submarine equipments, anchors and chains under the sea, and also because of the system problem, the poor quality of the nuclear submarine, somehow the toxic gas filled the submarine after that, and the people all died of the dyspnea. So altogether, it really hit PLA's moral. So what happened in China to increase this moral? This is another interesting thing as we talk about the domestic cognitive interference. I just want to take you an example. So show you an example. So just from the early September, CCP started using self-media but published on the official media. That means it's censored. That this they start to claim there is mysterious missing of U.S. Navy Seawolf class Connecticut nuclear submarine. They said it's missing in South China Sea, and the U.S. dare not talk about that, deny it. And on the other hand, they start talk about we don't know whether it's true or not. Sounds it's not true, but we should know accident of submarine is so usual, and also we should reject the rumor. So don't listen to that. So you should not believe CCP's nuclear submarine accident. I mean, what's your opinion on their domestic cognitive interference, sir? This is very interesting, I think.
Well, yes. So great question again. So what I'm seeing here is, that USS Connecticut, that accident they had was over a year prior, right? It was last
Yes.
October. And so the CCP then takes and says this sub is missing this year. And so they sort of obfuscate. And then they go back and they then say, oh, they know that it was found, etc. And they claim, as you said, try to make it look like both stories were false stories, and therefore just ignore it.
Yes.
So what's interesting from my perspective here is they take and give I think it's partially effective because the short headlines again I mentioned, but one can do a few quick searches, at least outside of China, and understand that the story was completely bogus because the U.S. sub has been in dry dock for the last year, so it was never missing. But you'd not see that if you're in China because they restrict the internet for the most part, right?
Yes.
And so they then come back, but they notice they never directly addressed the facts that you all raised in the story. Now, from a cognitive warfare perspective, that's really important because if you address the actual facts, that usually tends to then amplify that narrative instead of remove the narrative. So they ignored the facts. They made the story about something else, missing submarines, and don't even address the disaster and the deaths, right? So they're very effective in that regard. They change the narrative, they change the story, and say basically, look over there, not here. Look out over there, not
Yes.
here, because there's nothing to see here, right? But this is part of what I write in the book about is in the information equilibrium theory is dictatorships and dystopian regimes, they survive by controlling, manipulating, and restricting information. And that's exactly what they're doing here. And then they create deceit and specific propaganda to drive either a counter narrative, but because they know a counter narrative is mostly ineffective, they drive a new narrative. So they make the story about something completely different.
Exactly. So briefly, I think this is like you want to go somewhere, go to the terminal, and someone try to mislead you. So they won't just deny the road, but they will show you another road which will take you longer time, and you cannot reach the end. So this kind of confusing will make you finally even lose your judgment, and you very likely will give up your original terminal. So the thing is, China cannot manipulate Americans using missing Connecticut submarine, but they use it to brainwash Chinese people because the main idea is to increase military's moral. This can show you the example how they treat Chinese and American in different way in the cognitive war. And so before we have a short rest, what do you want additionally tell our people?
Well, it's the key here is to understand is that in this warfare, as you said, it's the control and the manipulation of the information. So you have to ask yourself, what's the purpose of the story, for what impact, for what desired outcome? And if you're in China, you have to take everything that's said by the state media under that umbrella and almost flip it to get the truth, right? If you, as you said, I think up front, you say, look at the exact counter, and you probably have closer to the truth than what you're hearing from the state media.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So